Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So shout out to Vovo, you know what I'm saying? The Soul Chat, the Soul Chat partitioner. What's good with the Vovo? Good to see you. We got some interesting things that we're going to talk about tonight. All right. And make sure that you guys watch the stream all the way through to the end. It will take you to the next scheduled stream, which will be at midnight. We're going to be talking about some crypto stuff. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we got to go over this Hunter Biden pardon by Joe Biden, because this is something that Joe Biden said that he would not do. Now, the mainstream media and a lot of Democrats have been going completely crazy over this, and the contradictions are just off the chain. So let's check this out.
The blowback over the Hunter Biden pardon has been swift. Republican lawmakers quick to criticize President Biden over this. Some Democrats also speaking out about the bad precedent that they fear that this sets. The incoming chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Republican Chuck Grassley, weighing in with this, saying, "I'm shocked that President Biden pardoned his son Hunter because he said many, many times he wouldn't, and I believed him. Shame on me." CNN's Lauren Fox tracking the reaction in Washington for us. And there's a lot that we've already heard and likely a lot more to come, Lauren.
Yeah, lawmakers expected back in Washington this evening. We can expect that a lot of Republicans are going to be lashing out after this news broke late last night. But there are a number of Republicans who are making the argument that Joe Biden had said one thing and then done another. Now, there were also Republicans in the House who had worked on that impeachment probe, someone like Representative Jim Jordan, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, who said if there was nothing to their probe, why is Hunter Biden being pardoned now? Obviously, these were different issues, but it's important to point out that the Republican backlash has been swift. Here's another Republican Senator, Ron Johnson, who said, just confirming that under Democratic governance, there truly is a dual system of justice, one that protects Democrats and another weaponized against their political opponent. But it's not just Republicans, Kate, that have criticized Biden. You are also hearing from a small number of Democrats, including Representative Greg Stanton from Arizona, saying, quote, "I respect President Biden, but I think he got this one wrong." He also goes on to say, if this wasn't politically motivated, pro-Hunter committed felonies and was convicted by a jury of his peers. Kate?
Lauren, thank you so much for that. John?
All right, with us now, CNN political commentator Karen Finney and CNN senior political commentator Scott Jennings. So, Karen, you just heard Democrat Greg Stanton, Democratic governor of Colorado Jared Polis. There are Democrats saying they're not happy that President Biden made this decision.
Yeah, well, tough. The president went ahead and did what he thought was right for him and to protect his son. And I think there are going to be Democrats who.
Now, that's interesting logic, right? That's interesting logic. It doesn't matter about the consistencies, doesn't matter about the precedent, doesn't matter about the double standards. The only thing that matters is, quote unquote, what was, quote unquote, right for him, quote unquote, and what was right for, quote unquote, his son. Very, very interesting, but pay very close attention, though, because if you watch and you observe, you will see that these are the values that these people have. These are the values that Democrats use. These are the standards that they use. Complete inconsistencies. We can do a certain set of things and justify it, and it's okay. And other people are not allowed to do those things. It's just very bizarre.
From a political perspective, are going to feel like they may have to say something, but who probably on the inside understand why President Biden went ahead and did this. And I got to tell you, crowing from Republicans, and I know my dear friend Scott will have plenty to say about this, but we're talking about, Donald Trump is a convicted felon who literally pardoned his daughter's father-in-law and just made him ambassador to France. So if we're going to talk about, who's using what system in what fashion, let's put it all on the table and let's be honest about the fact that Donald Trump doesn't really have a leg to stand on in this one.
So, Scott Jennings, what about that? Steve Bannon, Charles Kushner, Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, Michael Flynn, and Charles Kushner, not just pardoned, but also apparently about to be nominated ambassador to France.
Joe Biden is leaving office making the strongest possible case for Donald Trump that anybody could possibly make it. And that's that our government and our justice system is of, by, and for the elites and nobody else. He ran to banish Trumpism from our political system in this country, and he has left it politically and now institutionally the strongest possible political force in this country. It is a complete and utter failure by the head of the Democratic Party and the president of the United States. Never again Do I want to hear, oh, Donald Trump's a liar, you can't believe anything he says? Donald Trump will abuse his power. Donald Trump will only use the system to benefit himself and his family and so on and so forth. Never again.
Now, yeah, I think he brings up a good point. This is a complete and total documented contradiction. This is what they do. The Democrats weaponize infrastructure and then point the finger at other people and say that other people are doing what the Democrats are accusing them of. If this is not a prime example of that, I don't know what is.
I have one question for Karen, and that is, why did he need an 11-year blanket pardon going back to 2014 when Joe Biden was the vice president? We are sitting on the biggest cover-up of who knows what crimes, and Joe Biden amazingly knows exactly, roughly, when it started. He knows just about when it all started. He's leaving office in complete and total disgrace. He is a liar, and there is no—
Yeah, I would agree. And here's a question for you guys. What would make Joe Biden choose the time frame that he chose? It's a very interesting time frame. What would make him choose that time frame? And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. We got 5 people watching, and we got 5 likes. We won the 1-to-1. If everybody could throw the 100s in the chat, smash that like button. Let's try to get the likes to 10. Definitely appreciate you guys.
no other way to spin this today. This has nothing to do with Trump and everything to do with the character of Joe Biden.
Let me get some context to what Scott is saying just there, Karen, before you address it, because this pardon, I do not believe we have mentioned it, not just granting clemency for the crimes for which Hunter Biden was convicted of illegally purchasing a gun of tax evasion, but also a blanket pardon for any federal crimes that may have been committed basically between 2014 and 2024. So what about that literal get out of jail free card for a 10-year period, Karen?
Now, how many of you all are able to utilize things like this? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. What's good with it, bro? How many of you all are able to utilize abilities or privileges like this to be able to possibly get yourself out of any type of legal situation or legal jam or whatever might be going on that you have going on? I don't know if you guys saw the video that I posted on BLR1, but this is Chad Dad right here. This is Chad Dad. Dude, my dad's the president. You know, if you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Well, look, literally, you know, the president recognizes that Republicans have been for years now trying to attack the president himself, go after his family.
Shout out to Carlton. What's good with it, bro?
Someone who literally ran their campaign on retribution, on the idea of I will be your retribution and getting back at his enemies. I would imagine, obviously I haven't spoken to the president about this, but I would imagine the president took a look at this and said, I want to make sure this is ironclad, that there is nothing that can be done to circumvent what I'm going to do to protect my son and to try to take the target off of his back once and for all. So that's my reading of it.
Now, here's the thing. If you watch the mainstream media, this is CNN right here. If you watch MSNBC, all these other places, what's interesting about this situation is that most of them are not even addressing the fact that Joe Biden initially said that he would not do this. So now what are we supposed to do with the fact that he said that he would not do this, and then he turns around and does it?
But again, I think that the hypocrisy here, it is astounding. I mean, Donald Trump has—
How is there— the only hypocrisy there is here, period, is the fact that Joe Biden said that he would not do this, and then he turned around and does it. That is the hypocrisy that we're dealing with. There is no other hypocrisy here. The only one who has said that they would not pardon their son and has then turned around and pardoned their son, the only person who has done that is Joe Biden. He's the only one. There is no other hypocrisy in terms of dealing with this or in terms of this situation.
Family, and when you have someone who literally ran their campaign on retribution, on the idea of I will be your retribution and getting back at his enemies, I would imagine, obviously I haven't spoken to the president about this, but I would imagine the president took a look at this and said, I want to make sure this is ironclad, that there is nothing that can be done to circumvent what I'm going to do to protect my son and to try to take the target off of his back once and for all. So that's my reading of it. But again, I think that the hypocrisy here, it is astounding. I mean, Donald Trump has said and done things, said things and done other things. And again, he's a convicted felon himself. He has used his power to benefit his friends, his wealthy allies. In this instance, we're talking about a man who decided to take care of his son. after years of unrelenting attacks. I don't blame him.
Scott, did you have the same concerns over
years of unrelenting attacks? Let me ask you guys this question. Did Hunter Biden go through years of unrelenting attacks? Where were these unrelenting attacks? If you ask me, Hunter Biden went through years of unrelenting protection. And one of the reasons why I can say that with 100% certainty is because there were actual community guideline punishments issued out to any media or social media apparatuses who were posting about what was on the laptop. No one else was getting that kind of protection. For the most part, there was no kind of standard on what you were allowed to say about Trump. You could say whatever you wanted to say about Trump, whether it was true or whether it was false, and you would not get anything removed from anywhere. New York Post during the election got their posts removed that were about the Hunter Biden laptop. And there wasn't even any type of formal apology or any type of acknowledgement or anything that was done when it was proven and validated that these claims against Hunter Biden were real and were true. Besides that, there was nothing else going on as far as any type of persecution or prosecution at that particular moment. Now, how can there be these quote-unquote unrelenting attacks when the people that they're saying are quote-unquote attacking are not even in the White House yet, and they were not in the White House during the time all of this stuff was going on? How does that work exactly? Shout out to Unsunken One. What's good with it, bro? And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all have not smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash the like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and share the stream. Shout out to Crew Reality. What's good with it, bro? Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said, yeah, I get it. That's how, quote unquote, elite privilege, cough, Chad, dad, cough, it goes. But why is Sonya Massey's killer walking the streets in a sanctuary state, though? Fact, why is he walking the streets at all? Why did these two events occur simultaneously? Exactly. I would go as far as to say that cop that's still walking the street, he got Chad, dad, elite privileges, too. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
hang on, a justice system for the elite, as you put it before, when it was Donald Trump pardoning Steve Bannon, Paul Manafort, Roger Stone, Michael Flynn, Charlie Kushner. Same concern then?
Listen, you guys can spend all day long trying to spin this, that this is Donald Trump's fault, that this is somehow caused by Donald Trump. Oh, he's appointing the wrong people. Oh, he did it. Oh, this is the worst possible thing a president could possibly do to his party and to the country, to sit for a year and say, I will not do this. I will not do this. The rule of law is sacred. We have to respect the justice system. Juries, we have to respect juries. We have to respect the guardrails and the norms of our democracy. These people are liars. Inflation is transitory. Afghanistan is a success. The border is secure. Robert Hur is a liar. The videos are cheap fakes. Biden has a cold. He'll never drop out. Oh, I'll never pardon Hunter. It's all a lie. It is all a grift. Every American, except the most partisan, brain-rotted people, are going to be outraged by this today. He is going to leave off. You think 38, 39% job approval is bad? Just you wait. Just you wait. He's disgraced.
Scott,
disgraced today. Outrageous.
You don't need to, but Scott, you don't need to hurl names and say people like me are brain-rotted. Come on, that's a little beyond the pale, even for you, Scott.
Listen,
we can disagree about this.
Let me ask you guys this question. How many of you all agree that these people are brain rotted? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Have to defend this. He's leaving office. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to die on this hill. You can say this is wrong because everybody knows that it is. It's wrong. Are you fine with the lying? Are you fine with him sitting before the election all year and lying to the American people? Are you fine with the lying about it?
I don't think that he was lying. I think he made a decision after the fact and decided this was the right.
How can you say that you don't think that he's lying? How can we sit here and say, I don't think that he's lying? How can we do that? I just want you guys to pay attention to the double standards.
He's leaving office. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to die on this hill. You can say this is wrong because everybody knows that it is. It's wrong. Are you fine with the lying? Are you fine with him sitting before the election all year and lying to the American people? Are you fine with the lying about it?
I don't think that he was lying. I think he made a decision after the fact and decided this was the right thing for him and for his family. Period.
Now, let me ask you guys this. How many of you all think that when Joe Biden said, I will not use my pardon power to pardon my son. When Joe Biden said that, do you think that he meant it, or do you think that he had every intention to, if necessary, pardon Hunter Biden? Let me know what you guys think.
Full stop.
John,
Donald Trump
do we not
decided
have
that
the
it
minutes?
was okay to pardon.
Joe Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, how many minutes of tape do we have of both of these people telling the American people this
Shout out
will
to PD
not
that remains.
happen?
What's good with it, bro?
I mean, we could play it all morning. It's a lie, and it's a lie to benefit his own family, and that's
fine,
all
but
that it
let's
is.
just-
And everybody who
let's
went on
just-
TV and said, "Oh, look how he's
calling
the
it
modern George
something.
Washington," he's drained every ounce of credibility from every surrogate. If Karine Jean-Pierre had an ounce of self-respect, she'd get off the plane in Africa today, where they're going, so he can avoid the press and resign. He's drained all of her credibility, and everybody else who's defended this, it's draining for them forever.
Oh, and Karen,
Now, here's what the Democrats will do. Al Sharpton and Joy Reid. Now, you hear how this guy said she'll get off the plane in Africa where they're going today. They'll take that and say, quote unquote, racist CNN commentator, and then expect everybody to get outraged and not pay very close attention to the actual context of the conversation. But make no mistake, it'll work. You know what I'm saying? Make no mistake, it'll absolutely work. Quality control, 1-1.
Because everybody knows that it is. It's wrong. Are you
Karen?
fine with the lying? Are you
I think
fine
good
with
for
him
Joe
sitting
Biden.
before the election all year and lying to the American people? Are you fine with the lying about it?
I don't think that he was lying. I think he made a decision after the fact and decided this was the right thing for him and for his family. Period. Full stop.
John,
Donald Trump
do we not
decided
have
that
the
it
minutes?
was okay to pardon.
Joe Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, how many minutes of tape do we have of both of these people telling the American people this will not happen? It's I mean, we could play it all morning. It's a lie, and it's a lie to benefit his own family, and that's
fine,
all
but
that it
let's
is.
just-
And everybody who
let's
went on
just-
TV and said, "Oh, look how he's
calling
the
it
modern George
something.
Washington," he's drained every ounce of credibility from every surrogate. If Karine Jean-Pierre had an ounce of self-respect, she'd get off the plane in Africa today, where they're going, so he can avoid the press and resign. He's drained all of her credibility, and everybody else who's defended this, it's draining for them forever.
oh, and Karen, to be fair, Joe Biden, we did play that sound earlier, did flat out say on multiple occasions, and the press secretary did, that he would not pardon Hunter Biden.
He sure did. And I will tell you that he probably heard from a lot of people who said, you know what, sir, go ahead and do it. You should go ahead and protect your son, because who knows what Trump and Trump's Department of Justice will do when they say that their number one goal is retribution.
Yeah, shout out to PD that remains. Delusion is a hell of a drug. Facts. Unsunken one. Spin vomit. Facts. This is insanity. Now, let's check this out. Let's ask this question, right? Let's ask this question. We got to ask this question. Do you guys think that Joe Biden pardoning Hunter Biden was divisive? You think that was divisive? Now, there was no debate, no consideration, no anything about that. He just went on and did it, right? So what does that tell you about how something, quote unquote, being, quote unquote, divisive or divisive or whatever we may say, how does that fall into decision-making processes and whether it deters or encourages someone to make a particular decision? Joe Biden doesn't care about popularity levels, clearly. This is one of the things that could leave him completely 100% shamed as a former politician, right? This is something that's definitely going to drop his popularity, drop his approval rating, and look at how nothing stopped him from doing it. Nothing stopped him from doing it. He just went on and did it. What do you guys think about that?
How could you not take the opportunity to say, you know what, this is one thing that I can do for my child. This is one thing I can do to help get the target off of his back. Also, but
shout out to my man TD Media Group. TD Media Group said, bro, the Biden crime family is real AF. Bro, facts. Facts. Super facts. I just posted a clip on BLR1 about the initial reaction that I did to this last night. And in the cards that I put up that, you know, people that subscribe to our channels don't click, I put all the content about Hunter Biden that I've done over the years in those cards to substantiate the video, right? Because I'm OCD and organized like that, because I believe in organization, right? And it's just laid out. I don't know if you've seen this news clip right here or if you reacted to it. I watched about half of your live stream that you did earlier. I didn't get a chance to finish the rest of it, but I will before I do my next live stream tonight. But this is ridiculous. This lady's hypocrisy, bro. Listen, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to cover this video. You got to cover this video. Shout out to AW1. What's good with you, bro?
By the way, this is politics. And again, if we're going to go down and compare list to list, it's not going to look very good for Donald Trump either. And I just don't have a problem with Joe Biden doing this at all.
All right,
good for him.
Karen Finney.
And I know a lot of Democrats who agree with me.
One of the Democrats who does not agree with her is Governor Jared Polis. Now, again, shout out to TD Media Group, right? Because TD Media Group talked about Governor Jared Polis and him not agreeing with this on his live stream. But make no mistake, though. Make no mistake. It's not that these Democrats don't agree with this. That is not the case at all. And TD actually reiterated this in his live stream. But what it is that they've nullified a particular talking point. That's really where the irritation and people being upset about this comes from. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay, bet. Shout out to TD. TD said, I covered Scott Jennings' portion in a video I'm releasing tomorrow. That's what's good. That's what's good. You think anybody will know what's going on it? I'm just curious. You know what I'm saying? Colorado Democrat Jared Polis bashes Joe Biden for Hunter Biden pardon. President Joe Biden's decision to pardon his son Hunter Biden on Sunday frustrated one Democrat who has been breaking with his party in recent weeks, which is interesting, right? Because Jared Polis is a sanctuary state guy. He's a sanctuary state guy, which we're going to be getting into because we got to talk about this Trump proofing, right? The president and his 2020 running mate, Vice President Kamala Harris, ran on a platform promising to put their country over their party as a contrast to President-elect Donald Trump. But Governor Jared Polis said Sunday that the president's decision to go back on his word was a prime example of putting his family over the country. And I would not disagree with that. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. All right. While as a father, I certainly understand President Joe Biden's natural desire to help his son by pardoning him, I am disappointed that he put his family ahead of the country, Polis said in a post on X. This is a bad precedent that could be abused by later presidents and will sadly tarnish his reputation. So as you can see here, it's not really the fact that Joe Biden did something wrong that they're upset about. Shout out to Shatira. What's good with it, Shatira? What they're upset about is the fact that they can no longer use this talking point anymore. That is where the true outrage and all of this comes. When you become president, your role is paterfamilias of the nation. Hunter brought the legal trouble he faced on himself, and one can sympathize with his struggles while acknowledging that no one is above the law. Not a president, not a president's son, the Colorado governor added. Well, I would say that this is not a true statement. This no one is above the law statement is not true. It's been proven today. It's been proven today that there are people. Well, it's always been proven, right? Let's just back that up. There's always been proof that there's people that are above the law, but this is a concrete substantiation in all forms of every aspect of this situation that there are people who are above the law, right? Polis has broken with the conventional Democratic Party stances from time to time, including praising Trump's nomination of Robert F. Kennedy to lead the Department of Health and Human Services and criticizing Joe Biden for imposing tariffs on various products imported from China. How many times did you guys see the mainstream media go wild about the Biden tariffs? If you ask me, the Biden presidency was a tariff on the people here in America, but that's another story for another day. The president's pardon of any alleged possible crimes from the beginning of 2014 until Sunday also had mixed reception from other Democrats. Representative Greg Stanton of Arizona believed Joe Biden got this one wrong by issuing a pardon for the first son. Now, let me ask you guys this question, and we got to ask this question. We got to ask this question because these are the questions that people like to talk about and people like to dive into as if those questions are gonna, you know what I'm saying, put any money in our pockets, but you know, that's just what people like. This is YouTube, this is social media. So we got to do the social media thing, right? Roland Martin, Al Sharpton, Joey Reid, any of the people on MSNBC, Jim Clyburn, what are they all going to say about the Hunter Biden pardon? Are they going to criticize Joe Biden, and are they going to say that Joe Biden did the wrong thing, or are they going to fight each other to yes man Joe Biden? Let me know. Let me know what you guys think, right? I respect President Biden, but I think he got this one wrong. This wasn't a politically motivated prosecution. Hunter committed felonies and was convicted by a jury of his peers, Stanton said in a post on X, and I wouldn't disagree with that. Representative Rashida Tlaib also reported some criticisms of the pardon, which included one saying that there are so many cases even more deserving than this one, and another claiming that people in federal prison for drug offenses should be considered for pardons. Okay. The president's pardon of his own son will absolve him of 2 cases against him, which were pending sentencing hearings later this month. Hunter Biden had pleaded guilty to 9 tax-related charges and had been found guilty by a jury of 3 gun-related felonies, including possessing a firearm while addicted to drugs. The 2 sentencing hearings were scheduled for later this month. Now, let me ask you guys this as far as these gun charges, right? Aren't the Democrats about gun control and about screening? Shout out to John Guillory. What's good with it, bro? And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate y'all. If you guys haven't hit that like button yet, do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. The Democrats are about gun control, right? Now, here's my question. A lot of these mainstream media outlets, the news, they've been saying that, oh, nobody in a normal circumstance will get convicted of this, right? Well, let's actually talk about crypto circumstance. I'm reading John's comment, crypto circumstances. Oh, we're going to talk about the crypto, bro. Facts. Tonight. It's about to be lit tonight. You know what I'm saying? We about to have a good time tonight. You know what I'm saying? But wouldn't most Democrats say that people who are addicted to drugs should not have guns? Because the Democrats are real quick to say everybody shouldn't have guns. But when it comes to the gun control and mental health and all of that, they would for sure, if this was any normal circumstances, they would for sure be against anybody other than Hunter Biden who fit that profile having that gun, right? If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. So here we are. They should all be saying, well, he knows, and especially being a Democrat, this is not acceptable, right? But they're not saying that. In a statement issued when the president granted the full and unconditional pardon, Joe Biden claimed Hunter Biden was, quote unquote, singled out only because he's my son, and that he was selectively and unfairly prosecuted for the various crimes. First of all, is that true? Is that true? Was he selectively singled out and unfairly prosecuted? No. Who singled him out? Was it a bunch of conservatives that was doing the sentencing? Who singled him out? You know what I'm saying? So next what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the Trump reaction. All right. Trump decided to react to this, and we're going to see exactly how Trump reacted and see exactly what he said. All right. Give me 2 seconds. Computer running super slow. While the computer is running super slow, y'all know what to do. Help your boy out. Smash that like button if you haven't. Hit that bell. Share the stream to your social media. Remember, this live stream will take you into the premiere window for the live stream tonight. So once this stream is over, or if you watch on the replay, make sure that you hit the like button and drop a comment in there. All right.
This morning, President Biden is en route to Angola after a holiday weekend spent with family on Nantucket, stopping briefly in Washington in between and announcing he's pardoning his son, Hunter. Hunter was convicted of lying on a form about his drug use when he purchased a gun, and in a separate case, agreed to plead guilty to tax charges. Biden argues his son's charges came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election.
Notice how the response isn't "my son's not guilty." You guys notice that? The thing that's not being said here is quote unquote "my son's not guilty." That's what's not being said.
The president's decision is a reversal from a position he held for months.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
The pardon goes beyond Hunter's gun and tax charges, also covering offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1, 2014 through December 1, 2024. The chairman of the House Oversight Committee, a Republican, accuses Biden of skirting accountability. Democratic House Representative Greg Stanton of Arizona also criticized Biden's decision, saying Hunter committed felonies and was convicted by a jury of his peers. Biden is not the first president to use his pardon powers before leaving office. President Clinton pardoned a former business partner and his half-brother, Roger Clinton. President Trump pardoned Charles Kushner, his son-in-law's father, and just announced as Trump's pick for ambassador to France. In response to Biden's decision, Trump wrote, "Does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the January 6th hostages?"
You already knew that was coming. You already knew that was coming.
Addressing a promise he campaigned off of, Trump has also promised to go after those he considers political enemies and has announced plans to fire FBI Director Christopher Wray, replacing him with longtime ally Kash Patel, who has vowed to help the president-elect with his plan for retribution.
Putting his son in the Bureau of Prisons within the power and control of Donald Trump, a political rival, it was probably something as a father he needed to do to protect his son.
Hunter Biden potentially faced decades in prison. In a statement, he said he will not take this decision for granted and will devote the life he has rebuilt in his sobriety to helping those who are sick and suffering.
I don't think that Hunter Biden should have had the opportunity to be able to do that. I think that Hunter Biden should be sitting in a jail cell just like everybody else. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I have zero sympathy for Hunter Biden. And if you're an addict, if you decide to get addicted to drugs, it's a decision. You know what I'm saying? What are they gonna start doing as far as this drug stuff goes to compensate for these people and the addictive habits that they have? They're gonna start sitting there saying that you were assigned an addiction at birth. What are we doing out here? This dude was a crackhead. He was a basehead. He was a geek. You know what I'm saying? He was a loser. You know what I'm saying? Buying hookers and laundering money. You know what I'm saying? The money that he laundered was probably more clean than him on any given day. And they're sitting there saying that somebody who does these kind of things would, quote unquote, not likely to be looked at or to be convicted or prosecuted for a crime. That should tell you everything. And I'll tell you what else. This is, if you ask me, this is equivalent to the jail crash outs of a lot of these liberal city mayors who are saying that they'll go to jail. They'll do that time for the migrants, but they won't do anything for people who have been monolithically voting for them for 60 years. Joe Biden sat there. Listen to this. Joe Biden sat up on a stage. TD Media Group has played this portion multiple times. Right? Shout out to Shatera. Right. Me neither. Right? Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not criticizing protecting your son. I'm not criticizing that. What I'm criticizing is Joe Biden said that he wouldn't do it. Now, if you ask me, if somebody was like, are you going to use your power to protect your son? Absolutely. That's what it's there for. I don't care what y'all think about it. I don't care if you think I don't care what you think it's there for. It's not there to not get used. And if I can use it and benefit somebody that I care about and that I love, absolutely, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to not do it and then do it. Or I'm not going to say that I'm not going to do it and then turn around and do it. And I don't need, and all the people that would be caping and all, I don't need anybody to cape for me. I know that they was against it. I'm going to tell everybody I'm making this decision for myself. You know, this decision did not come influenced by any associates. This decision did not come with the endorsement of anybody else. I take and bear the full responsibility of this. You don't like me, guess what? My son is free. That's what I would have done. That's what I would have done. And the reason why I'm criticizing Joe Biden for this is not for protecting his son. However, if he had protected his son like a real father usually would have protected their son, I think that it would have been less likely that the crack pipe would have got picked up, right? I think it would have been less likely that he would, have a kid with a stripper, right? I think it would be less likely that he would do things like be drunk at these hotels in Los Angeles or Las Vegas with weird foreign nationals around who he could be leaking national security secrets to, right? That would be, protection of your son. You know what I'm saying? His son is so grimy, if I'm not mistaken, he was messing around with his dead brother's wife or something like that. I mean, who does that? You know what I'm saying? So, again, I don't, the paternal instinct to care for your kid, that's not what I'm criticizing, right? I'm not criticizing that. I'm not going to sit there and say, if I was president and my kid was going to jail, I wouldn't do. No, I absolutely would. Absolutely. However, you're going to know that up front. Yeah, I'm doing it. I don't care what you think about it. I'm doing it. And another thing is, if I know that something's highly controversial, the same way I jump out the window for myself, I would jump out the window for that highly controversial thing. I'm not going to act like, something might penetrate and hurt me if I advocate for political objectives of people who voted for me, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. And then turn around and do something that's allegedly equally as divisive or allegedly equally as outraging, right? And not even care about it because I'm walking out of office. I think that Joe Biden, hey, I'm not even going there, but y'all know what I'm saying. So again, what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to pay close attention to what these people will do, what they will do. That's the whole point of this stream, because when we get to Operation Trump Proof, talking about what Gavin Newsome is doing in California, look what he's doing in California. Right. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said, damn, he's grimier than the 216 and the 312. Bro, facts. Facts. And I'll tell you, and I want you guys to peep game on this. There is no restriction to how these politicians perceive anything that is quote unquote divisive or controversial. Those are simply words and tactics used to attempt to shut down any type of conversation. Do not fall for it, and do not let those things shut you down. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of shutting down, shout out to everybody. I appreciate you guys. We got 14 people watching. We got 13 likes. We are on the 1-to-1. If you guys haven't smashed the like button yet, do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit the bell, and subscribe to the channel. And since we're on the 1-to-1, throw those 100s in the chat.
We have some shocking new video of an alarming problem at our southern border. Border Patrol and Texas DPS agents have encountered more than 100 unaccompanied minors crossing into the U.S. over just the past week. Some of them barely older than toddler age, carrying only a slip of paper with an address. And last week we told you about this 4-year-old. She is from Honduras. She was found alone at the border, having been smuggled by coyotes all the way through Central America.
Shout out to Hooker. What's good with it, bro?
Jorge Ventura is live with the very latest. Jorge, what are we learning about this little girl's journey?
So, Nicole, I did speak with the mother again yesterday for another update of the 4-year-old girl from Honduras. And the mother is telling me that she is still desperately waiting from a phone call from U.S. immigration officials on when exactly her daughter will be released to her. Yesterday marks 1 week since the little girl has been in federal immigration custody. Now, the mother actually sending me new photos of her daughter. Take a look at these images here. Now, these pictures were actually taken by a human smuggler in Mexico who was responsible for smuggling her daughter across the U.S. border. The smuggler provided updates to the mother along the journey through Mexico and occasionally actually allowed her daughter to FaceTime her. Now, I want to take you to this image here. The little girl can be seen wearing a red shirt saying, "I love my mom." And behind her, Nicole, it does appear there's other children, including a toddler. We did blur the toddler face. It looks like the 4-year-old girl was in a stash house in Mexico, and the children behind her are likely to also be smuggled into the U.S. alone at some point. Now, according to the mother, the smuggler actually stopped answering her calls and providing updates to her when they reached Monterrey, Mexico for a second. She did believe that her daughter was kidnapped or going unaccounted for. It wasn't until U.S. immigration officials called her to let her know that her daughter is in their custody right now. Nicole, we're still waiting for more updates, and we're still tracking the little girl's release.
All right, so Jorge, talk about this.
Yeah, bro, the little girl being at a stash house in Mexico is crazy. Like, that is wild. Let me ask you guys a question. How many of you all think that it's a good idea to allow people who have these type of quote unquote parental values to just come to the United States unvetted? If you guys think that that's a good idea, give me a thumbs up. If you think it's a bad idea, give me a thumbs down.
A parent surge. Why does this seem to be happening now?
So, Nicole, I've been speaking with my contacts in Mexico who say that smugglers are right now, we're seeing that surge right now in Maverick County. So right across Maverick County is Paytas Negras, Texas. It's an area that's controlled by criminal smugglers. It doesn't have that strong cartel presence. And yesterday morning, once again, Texas DPS troopers encountered another large group of migrants. We're talking about around 170. That group also containing unaccompanied minors as well. We also want to take you to Del Rio, Texas. That's in Val Verde County, right next to Maverick County. Troopers received this image from a border surveillance camera showing a man carrying a child across the Rio Grande. And
like, this is crazy. This is crazy.
During a traffic stop, troopers did discover a 5-year-old girl who had been smuggled into the U.S., matching that same description from the surveillance image. Now, the child was in the vehicle with her mother, Dolores Lopez, a Mexican national living in North Carolina, she told authorities. She also told authorities that she paid around $8,000 to a smuggling organization she found online to bring her daughter to the U.S. Troopers arrested and charged the smuggler is Mexican national Roman Abel.
Now, let me ask you guys this question. If they know that a lot of these people are, quote unquote, using these smugglers and the entire thing is the entire thing is a criminal operation, right? All of the smuggling and all of that, it's all criminal, right? Like, none of that stuff is legal. Shouldn't the undocumented people who are smuggling their children also be faced with smuggling charges and child trafficking charges if you're a parent trafficking your own child into the United States illegally? Don't you guys think that should be if you guys think that should be a thing, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Vega. What's good with it, Vega?
Rojo. Now, Texas DPS says they are doing a follow-up investigation and could also bring charges to the mother. That right now is still being reviewed by the DA in Val Verde County. But as you can see, Nicole, here in Texas, they're continuing to see that surge of unaccompanied children despite illegal migrant crossings down here in the Lone Star State.
All right, Jorge Ventura, live for us there in Texas. Thank you. Thanks.
All right, so there's that. All right. So now next what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what's going on in New York City. All right. And what is going on in New York City is that more migrant shelters are shutting down. All right. More migrant shelters are shutting down. So let me ask you guys this. Why is it that they are shutting down these migrant shelters in New York City? And let me ask you guys, another question. You guys think that Eric Adams is calling himself the Joe Biden of Brooklyn these days? Let me know.
We begin tonight with the closure of multiple migrant shelters and more that could be shutting down soon. While the number of migrants arriving in the city has dropped, political reporter Marsha Kramer reports the city still needs to address the needs of these families.
Fearing the Trump administration will cancel the federal lease for the 10 complex at Floyd Bennett Field that houses 1,800 asylum seekers, the Adams administration is looking for alternate sites for the families who live there as officials move to close other emergency facilities.
We're going to continue to make sure that we are protecting those that need protecting.
All this comes as the number of migrants entering New York has fallen. During the week of November 18th to the 24th, 400 people entered the shelter system, but 1,200 left, a drop of 800 in 1 week. This compares to January, when the city was getting about 4,000 new asylum seekers each week.
It's been about 20 weeks that I believe that the census has been going down. So we have been planning to close sites little by little.
In the last month, the city has closed 11 shelters, 1,800 rooms at places like the Americana Inn on West 38th Street, the Voyage Hotel in Long Island City, and the Hotel RL in Brooklyn. But that's not all. There are also plans to close upstate hotels in Albany, Dutchess, Erie, Orange, and Westchester counties that currently house 900 asylum seekers. Randall's Island, which has about 2,000 migrants, is scheduled to close in February. It's saving the city a ton of money.
We've been able to save over $2 billion. So to me, that's the real story here. And now we're going to continue to manage this crisis and make sure that we're able to downsize.
The Legal Aid Society is also concerned about Floyd Bennett Field and whether it could be the target of immigration raids.
The Legal Aid Society would obviously like to see the site close and for families to be rehoused, ideally close enough to their children's school so that they're not completely just displaced from the neighborhood.
President-elect Donald Trump's new designated border czar says he wants to meet with Mayor Adams to discuss the migrant crisis at City Hall. I'm Marsha Kramer, CBS News, New York.
Now, Tom Homan said that he wants to meet with your boy Eric Adams. Is Eric Adams going? You already know Eric Adams about to be at that meeting about face. He about to be there first. He gonna get there before Tom Homan is there. Eric, not only is Eric Adams gonna get there before Tom Homan is there, Eric Adams gonna get there and he gonna have a cup of coffee and some donuts for Tom Homan. You know what I'm saying?
As the flow of migrants persisted, we decided to take an up-close look at their lives.
In November 2023, Fox 5's Stephanie Bertini launched our series, Migrants in America in Their Own Words. She joins us now with a look back. Can you believe it? 1 year later now, Steph?
Yeah, it started with one story. As you both know, it evolved into many more. You know, the city says that we've turned a corner when it comes to the migrant crisis, but many of the asylum seekers who have come since the spring of 2022 are still here, is still finding their way. Because we're looking back at our series, we decided to circle back with one of the very first to share their story in their own words.
Every night on the streets of Manhattan, you'll find Dennis Rico doing what he's been doing since he got here. Selling authentic Venezuelan food is bringing in approximately $250 to $300 a day, he tells me. I first interviewed him last year, shortly after he started the makeshift business from scratch, out of sheer need. A lot of patience, Rico says, as he reflects on what it takes to make it. He was one of the first to share their story in our series, Migrants in America in Their Own Words. Since November 2023, we've heard from people from different parts of the world, including Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Many who have crossed the southern border and even the northern border. All of them to get to New York City during an unprecedented time the city called.
Yep. Yeah, right. Shout out to John Guillory. John Guillory said, did I hear that right? They are able to save $2 billion. You heard that right, bro. You heard that right. So now check this out. Here's the thing, right? Like when people will hear something like that, they might mess around and end up getting stuck on the quote unquote on a $2 billion number, right? Now, here's the thing. They saved $2 billion. So let me ask you guys this question. If they saved $2 billion, then how much did they spend?
Calls the migrant crisis. Rico says he and his family were granted temporary protected status, or TPS, by the federal government. They chose to settle in New York City after leaving Venezuela, crossing the border, and seeking asylum in the U.S. We work 10 hours a day, he says. He now has a loyal customer base among other migrants. He and his wife cook during the day while their daughter is at school. Learning English, among other things. Hey, qué lindo. Give me 5. Weeknights or weekends, she's alongside her mom and dad. They sell the food near the Row Hotel, one of many city-established emergency shelters for migrants. The kind of place the family is used to calling home by now, but we are in the process of getting an apartment, he says. We have improved a lot, reminding me what drives him. His definition of the American dream. To own an arepa store, he told me last year. This is what we are working for still this year. The American dream. We heard it again and again from the migrants we talked to in our series. The pursuit of the American dream brought them to New York City. We also heard about how tough the reality of building that dream really is.
I don't want to end up like a lot of homeless people.
This man, one of several to share the fear of homelessness with us after the city started imposing restrictions and limits on shelter stays due to capacity issues. At one point in the crisis, the numbers were so high.
They don't want to. Now, I find this interesting, right? They don't want to live like homeless people. This dude said that they, quote unquote, don't want to live like homeless people, but they come to the United States and the resources that they are using are literally the resources that are allocated for the, quote unquote, homeless people. And there's no way that they can't know that.
You could find migrants waiting for somewhere to go on the sidewalk outside the Roosevelt Hotel, the city's official intake center. We showed you the overwhelmed ICE headquarters in Manhattan, where we witnessed the heartbreak that comes when hope starts to fade. It's not easy, said this man from Venezuela, clearly at a breaking point. The surge of migrants started in the spring of 2022. Since then, city officials say more than 224,000 migrants have come.
Shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. Also, please share the stream to your social media. And if you're not subscribed to the backup channels, make sure you take a moment and subscribe to my backup channels.
Initially, the mayor welcomed the new arrivals. New York City, a sanctuary city with a right to shelter mandate, allowed asylum seekers to find food, clothes, medical attention, and a place to stay. There was a constant flow of migrants arriving in buses at Port Authority. We reported many of those buses came from Texas. As the numbers grew, so did city restrictions. For example, late last year, an executive order by Mayor Adams put limits on where and when migrants could be dropped off by charter bus. But it didn't deter them. Instead, many found a way through a loophole. bus drop-offs in New Jersey, and then a train to New York City. With photojournalist Lenny Torres behind the camera, I interviewed this mom in the middle of the night. She told me she did it all for my children. New York City's migrant crisis unfolded parallel to yet another surge at the southern border. In June 2024, President Biden issued an order which demanded a halt to asylum processing at the U.S.-Mexico border when U.S. officials deemed the southern border overwhelmed. Federal restrictions further tightened in September.
The front line, the numbers have definitely slowed down. When the executive order was put in by the president, the numbers have gone down, but we still have people in the shelters that are in limbo.
Power Malou has been working on the front lines of New York City's migrant crisis. He's one of many in a network of humanitarians across the country. He notes a decrease in the numbers after that presidential order. The city does too. In a statement, we continue to see a decline in the number of people entering our shelter system each week. In response to this trend, we are consolidating our emergency shelter operations and scaling down the number of sites in use. But as of November 24th, 2024, on record, there were still more than 56,000 migrants in city shelters.
Why did you come to America?
告诉我们你为什么来美国？ I'm a Catholic in my country, and we were persecuted by the local government.
Through our series, we got an up-close look at the changing face of migration, from Chinese asylum seekers walking through Manhattan's Chinatown to migrants from African countries showing up in Harlem looking for a community to people from India and other countries.
Now, what I find interesting about this is that, they really didn't discuss, they go through this, buffet or, this assorted variety of migrants that are here. They didn't mention any Latino ones. Did you all happen to notice that?
Our emergency shelter operations and scaling down the number of sites in use. But as of November 24th, 2024, on record, there were still more than 56,000 migrants in city shelters.
Why did you come to America?
告诉我们你为什么来美国？ I'm a Catholic in my country, and we were persecuted by the local government.
Through our series, we got an up-close look at the changing face of migration, from Chinese asylum seekers walking through Manhattan's Chinatown to migrants from African countries showing up in Harlem looking for a community to people from India and other countries flying to Canada and walking across the northern border, we confirmed.
Are you going to New York City?
Yeah. Many migrants share the details of their journey and the dangers of dealing with human smugglers. It's dangerous. Very dangerous. Hours, days, months, interviews, research.
So this is the thing with this whole thing. They're dealing with the smugglers and all of this. I keep asking this question: why are you doing this then? If you know how much of a risk it is and you know how dangerous it is, then why would you do this? It doesn't make any sense.
Tips and confirmations from officials. Over the last year, we have watched and documented New York City history unfold. You need to be very focused. You have to be honestly looking at all the realities that are necessary to maintain yourself in this city or this country. It's not easy. Dennis Rico's story paints the picture of migrants in America. He has a well-seasoned understanding of all the complexities by now. As we wrapped up our second interview, almost a year to the date since our first one, I told him I'd like to see that at Epistore if it ever becomes reality. You are the first to be invited, he says, with the same kind of determination in his eyes he had last year. This is a country with many opportunities.
I mean, Stephanie, you put so much hard work and passion into this reporting. You traveled so much. You met so many migrants, unique perspectives. What did you learn in the last year?
So complex. Yeah. This migrant crisis is so complex. I worked mostly with photojournalist Lenny Torres, along with other members of the team. We've been able to truly document a piece of New York City history, and the history, guys, it continues to unfold.
Yeah, it's fascinating. You touched on a little bit too about the sort of sense of hope fading over the course of the year. Of course, now with Trump coming in promising mass deportations, there must be tremendous fear amongst his community about what comes next.
Yeah, so Dennis Rico, right?
Let me ask you guys this question. What will be more safe, a Trump deportation or coming to the United States through the Darien Gap? Which one is more unsafe?
I asked him, how are you feeling about this? He describes it as uncertainty, concern, fear. I talked to some immigration experts, humanitarians. There's definitely fear in the migrant community. We'll have to wait and see how this all unfolds. Of course, I'll be covering it. A lot of question marks.
Yeah, complex, no doubt. All right, Steph, thank you so much.
All right, so there's that. All right. So next, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about KATHY HOCHUL. KATHY HOCHUL is bending the knee. How many people heard about KATHY HOCHUL? How many people heard about KATHY HOCHUL bending the knee? KATHY HOCHUL says she'll call ICE to help get rid of migrants who commit crimes. But still wants to be a sanctuary state, though.
Someone breaks the law, I'll be the first one to call up ICE and say, get them out of here.
New York Governor KATHY HOCHUL said she wants immigrants who have committed crimes to be deported. Governor Hochul made the remark when she was asked if New York is a sanctuary state, a question she declined to answer directly.
But there.
Now, we got to ask this. Why would she not answer the question directly? See, nah, man, you have to answer these questions directly. These people cannot be allowed to continue to just go about doing this nonsense and not answering these questions directly. These questions have to be directly answered. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. So now, as you can see here, right? Now, as you can see, it doesn't matter at all that New York is a sanctuary state. Kathy Hochul is not addressing that. When it comes to addressing the issue that's at hand, which is everybody being outraged about the surge of crime that is happening as a result of the migrant crisis, now she's going to say what everybody wants to hear. Oh, yeah, if they commit crimes, I'll get them out of here. But how are you going to get them out of here when you have state mandates that instruct law enforcement in your state to not cooperate with the people that you're going to call to, quote unquote, get them out of there? It doesn't make any sense.
There are other people who commit crimes or are known to be criminals before they arrived here. When those are identified, I'll be the first one to help get rid of them. I don't want them here. I don't want anybody terrorizing my citizens.
Hochul has been under pressure to strengthen protections for immigrants as President-elect Donald Trump continues making plans for his mass deportation operation. The Immigrant Defense Project called on Hochul to support a bill in the state legislature.
Now, how many people have heard of this quote-unquote Immigrant Defense Project? If you guys have heard of this quote-unquote Immigrant Defense Project, then give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not heard of this quote-unquote Immigrant Defense Project, then give me a thumbs down. And the reason why I'm asking is because lobby groups, these people like this, these are the people that make these things happen. These are the people that make these things happen. So people should not be confused about this stuff. This is the big money and organization that I'm always talking about.
That would prohibit local law enforcement from cooperating with, or in their words, colluding with, ICE. Hochul also made clear she wants everyone who has legal status to have a work permit, including those with temporary legal status.
I have 460,000 open jobs in the state of New York. I want them to get the proper work permits. I want them to keep their temporary protective status, if that's what they have. I want to make sure that they're part of contributing to society while they're here.
They are contributing to society. They're contributing to making society very difficult for, a lot of New Yorkers is what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Making society a lot more difficult for a lot of New Yorkers is what they're contributing to.
Hochul said the more than 220,000 migrants who have made their way to New York City since 2022 are here legally because many are seeking asylum and have pending cases. At least 58,000 of them are staying in city-funded shelters. The city signed a 3-year, $220 million agreement with the Roosevelt Hotel in 2023 to rent out every one of its 1,000 rooms for $210 a night. I'm Ray Bogan for Straight Arrow News. For more reporting, download the SAN app.
So, see, and we talked about the Roosevelt Hotel. This is one of the reasons, if people watch the old content, right? We talked about the Roosevelt Hotel, how they were going to get rid of it. They sold it. I think it's owned by some place in India, and they contracted it back and created that value chain using it for migrant shelter now, right? Now, your boy Brandon Johnson, they coming at his head, asking him questions about this budget. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How much is Chicago's budget, and why is it like that? You know what I'm saying? Why is it like that?
Political reporter Marianne Ahern is in the studio with the very latest. Marianne?
Good afternoon. Previous Chicago City budgets were passed in early November. Now we're down to less than a month, and the process is still very much in flux. It started out as a $300 million property tax hike, then cut to $150 million. The latest proposal is now perhaps half of that.
I will negotiate the details around this budget, but I will not negotiate my values.
Mayor Brandon Johnson stands by.
Who asked Brandon Johnson? Like, Brandon Johnson always answers questions that nobody asked him, and he never actually answers the questions that he is asked. Does anybody notice that about Brandon Johnson? If you guys notice that about Brandon Johnson, give me a thumbs up. If you do not notice that about Brandon Johnson, then give me a thumbs down. But that's exactly how it goes with Brandon Johnson. Like, that's exactly how it goes. He never answers a question that he's actually asked. What he does is he will say something insane and then answer something that he wasn't asked.
No layoffs. But how will he fill a nearly $1 billion budget hole? It is still far from clear.
We've seen the mayor apparently go from a $300 million deficit down to a $68 million deficit in a matter of weeks. If that number magically appeared, then he could continue to go lower so that we have no property tax needed.
I believe that we will pass a budget before the end of the year. No one wants to drive the city of Chicago over a cliff, and postponing or not passing a budget by December 31st puts the city at a great peril.
Aside from the budget uncertainty, the mayor's team also faces questions on why it took more than a year from the first complaint about his communications director, Ronnie Reese, and harassment allegations that Reese was let go.
Now, how many people saw the live stream that we did on this channel where we talked about Ronnie Reese and all that insanity that he was doing? If you guys remember that stream about Ronnie Reese, let me know. But yeah, Ronnie Reese, he's up out of there.
Reese worked alongside Johnson at CTU and during his campaign for mayor.
There are allegations that have been brought to an individual. I'm not in a position, and nor will I succumb to litigating anything that is ongoing.
Johnson blames a process he inherited about handling the complaints, but the Lightfoot administration passed enhancements to the sexual harassment laws more than 2 years ago. The mayor wouldn't answer why his chief of staff, Christina Pacione-Zayas, recommended gathering in a peace circle as a remedy to those complaints.
We are committed to creating, and I say creating, healthy, safe working environments for all of our employees here.
If you're committed to that, then why haven't you done it? If you're committed to that, why haven't you done it then?
Also today, 2 former staffers who worked for Ronnie Reese in the communications department who were fired more than a year ago and were placed then on the do not hire list, that they were just removed from that list. As for Reese, the mayor would not say if he will be put on the list. Alex?
So there's that. Again, it's the double talk. Brandon Johnson is doing the exact same thing as what we're seeing people do with the Joe Biden situation. All right. So Chicago is also under fire for a lot of this idiocy that they've been involved in, right? And, Chicago is one of the hot spots for the migrant crisis, so we definitely going to be talking about it. U.S. Senate inquiry into Chicago's housing of migrants at airports likely to heat up after Republicans win the election. How many people knew that the U.S. Senate was inquiring into why Chicago was housing migrants at airports? If you guys knew that these Senate inquiries were going on, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not know that they were going on, and give me a thumbs down. And shout out to my man, John Guillory. I appreciate you, bro. Make sure you guys show John Guillory some love. Throw some flames, some radiation emoji, and some ducks in the chat for John for funding the organization. Definitely appreciate you, bro.
How do you think that we fund this organization, huh? We're not exactly the marching dimes.
Definitely appreciate it. Ty got me cracking up. He speaks with a remedial cadence. That's hilarious. That's funny as hell. So it says a nearly year-old U.S. Senate GOP inquiry into Chicago's housing of migrants at O'Hare and Midway airports became more than a political annoyance for Mayor Brandon Johnson next year as Republicans take control of the federal government with an eye on tightening rules about public spending on non-citizens. I can't wait to see Brandon Johnson have to go through a Senate hearing. That is going to be extremely entertaining. That is going to be extremely entertaining. U.S. Senator Ted Cruz, the ranking Republican member of the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee months ago, escalated an investigation Republicans on the committee had opened about Chicago's policy of having migrants sleep at the airports while they waited for shelter beds. Now, let me ask you this question, man. They always talk about this stuff being humane and worried about stuff being humane. Is that humane? Let me know what you guys think. In an August letter to the mayor obtained by the Tribune via a public records request, the senator said Johnson's staff had been unresponsive to questions he sent in January about the practice and raised the prospect that continued noncompliance could endanger federal airport grants Chicago receives for projects at O'Hare International and Midway airports. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How many of you all think that this is one of the things J.B. Pritzker is going to definitely try to get in front of something like this to make it so that they have a little bit of blockade or little difficulty in stopping the flow of funds from getting to these airports. This is part of Trump proofing. They want to make it so that they can't have these type of inquiries and investigations. Cruz also suggested Congress could compel Chicago officials to respond should the Johnson administration not provide answers. All right. So, knowing how Brandon Johnson is, no answers were probably provided. No answers were probably provided. At the time, the letter didn't get any notice, and Cruz's demands were a little more than Washington intimidation tactics, as Democrats controlled the Senate and national Republicans were using the immigration issue to rag on big cities across the country, with Chicago constantly being a prime target. But with the GOP riding a quote-unquote anti-immigration fervor that helped sweep Donald Trump back into the White House and Republicans gain control of the U.S. House and Senate, Cruz is set to chair the powerful committee beginning in January. So when it comes to this committee, what is January going to be looking like? I think it's not going to be very fun for a lot of people in January. You know what I'm saying? I think there's going to be a lot of stuff out there for us to have some fun discussing. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? While it remains to be seen how real Cruz's threats are, one of the committee options is moving to withhold federal infrastructure dollars to cities that continue sheltering immigrants at airports. Why would you do that? I remember when we first started talking about the migrants being sheltered at the airport. To me, that was always extremely bizarre. It was always really weird. I never really understood why I didn't get it. It didn't make any sense to me. Why are we just letting people sit at airports? Like, that's just very weird. Who does that? And who, nobody's really trying to be tripping over people all like that at the airport, because you trip over people at the airport all the time anyway. It's all packed and crowded, and then a lot of times I don't know where they would be housing them at. Probably in the lobby, but it's food courts out there. People trying to eat. People don't want all that all up in their face when they're trying to eat. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says, though the arrival of migrants to Chicago through the arrival of migrants to Chicago from the southern border, often being bused here by order of Republican Governor Greg Abbott of Texas, has significantly ebbed this year. The committee's move would be one part of what's expected to be a multi-pronged approach by Republicans to take their immigration efforts directly to sanctuary cities like Chicago that have policies in place, quote unquote, protecting immigrant rights. Is that what's happening though? That's not really what's happening. This isn't a discussion about protecting immigrant rights. This is a discussion about harboring felons. These people didn't immigrate. There's an immigration process that these people did not take. Immigrants are people that have went through the U.S. immigration process. Criminals are people who have broken the law. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Immigrant rights apply to people who have gone through the immigration process. There are no parts of the immigration process that are illegal. If you use the immigration process, you are operating within the law, right? If you break any part of that process, you haven't followed the process. Thus, that means you don't qualify for the criteria of being defined as that, and you've broken the law, which means that you are a criminal. These are two completely different discussions. Undocumented, illegal border crossing migrants who have entered the country illegally, sleeping at airport, that's not an issue of, quote unquote, protecting immigrant rights. Protecting immigrant rights is if your grandmother came over here, used the immigration process properly, is 89 years old, an old lady somewhere, and somebody somewhere just decides to say, well, we're going to denaturalize this lady. That's protection of immigrant rights. Illegal border crossers who are sleeping at airports on taxpayer dollars, those people aren't immigrants, and that's not protection of immigrant rights. Those people are criminals who have broken the law and are squatting somewhere. That's what it is. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. And I do not say that YouTube manual reviewer, shout out to Moxie. I do not say that YouTube manual reviewer in a quote unquote hateful way. I'm simply saying that, outlining the definitions of the words that I am using. You know what I'm saying? Tom Homan, the incoming border czar for Trump, who campaigned on a repeated promise of mass deportations of immigrants, said recently on Fox News that he will wield a very, very powerful weapon in potentially withholding federal funds for states and cities run by Democrat governors and mayors that fight deportation efforts. He also said he would jail the mayor of Denver, another sanctuary city, if the mayor blocks migrants from deportations. To me, like, it's so bizarre. This is so bizarre. This is so bizarre and so unnecessary. You know what I'm saying? Johnson's press office did not respond to multiple inquiries about Cruz's letter and the Senate committee probe, which a committee spokesperson said remains open. Among the other Republicans on the committee who co-signed a letter supporting the probe was Vice President-elect J.D. Vance from Ohio. Over the past few months, committee staff has reached out to your staff on 4 separate occasions seeking a response. Unfortunately, your staff has refused to provide a substance response, Cruz wrote in an August letter. Such lack of transparency with Congress and the American public is unacceptable. Your response will help determine if legislative changes to the airport improvement program grants are necessary. Oh, man, that's wild, man. The grants in question are federal funds that largely go to construction projects at airports. In 2024, O'Hare and Midway received about $112 million in airport improvement program dollars. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How did they get any improvements done with all these people sleeping there? How did they have room, or how did they have the area or available? You know, how did they get any of this stuff done with all these people sleeping there? In a statement to the Tribune, a representative for the Republican member of the Senate committee said incoming Commerce Committee Chairman Cruz is continuing his investigation of Mayor Johnson's decision to fund Chicago sanctuary airports and its impact on taxpayers. So, yeah, they're not going to let this go. And Brandon Johnson is going to end up having to answer for this. And I don't think that it's going to go good when he does have to answer for this. What do you guys think? Yeah, Moxie got bars. Shout out to my man Moxie approved. And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit that bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. All right. Give me 1 second here. We got 23 people watching and we got 23 people watching and we got 23 likes. That's what's up. I appreciate you guys. We got the 1-to-1 popping off. Make sure y'all flood that comment section with some 100s. Definitely appreciate it. Shout out to James Sumler. What's good with you, bro? With a Republican-led Congress, blue state mayors who violate federal law or misuse taxpayer dollars to prioritize illegal aliens over Americans will be held accountable, the statement said. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How do you all feel about that? You guys think that it's a bad thing to fund American people over migrants, or do you think that it should stay the old way? I think most people think that, American people need to be prioritized over migrants. And I would agree. The people that pay taxes, the people that live here, the people that, yeah, duh. You know what I'm saying? It's common sense, right? A Commerce Committee source said Johnson's office had begun to respond to the committee's questions, among them the cost and impact on airport capacity. Now, another thing is, how is having those migrants at the airport all in the middle of the floor like that, how is that not like any type of code violation? How is that not a fire code violation or something like that? The source said Republican members are considering prohibiting cities from sheltering immigrants without legal authorization to live in the U.S. at airports as a condition of accepting federal infrastructure funds. While Chicago's migrant crisis has abated, about a dozen migrants so far this month stayed at O'Hare awaiting shelter placement per city census numbers, though it was unclear how long their stays were. When Cruz and GOP committee members hope to hit Johnson, where Cruz and GOP committee members hope to hit Johnson is by proving the past sheltering of migrants at the airports misused federal resources. I think that'll be pretty easy to prove. Because all you have to do is just show how the migrants benefited from any type of operating cost. And if you can prove how the migrants benefited from any type of operating cost, which you could be as petty as saying the area was heated, that should be pretty easy to prove. You know what I'm saying? Repurposing airport facilities and infrastructure to house illegal aliens not only degrades taxpayer investments in the national airport system, but violates the requirement that these federally funded facilities be available for public use as an airport, Cruz wrote in the initial January letter to Johnson. No rational person would define an airport as a facility that houses illegal aliens. That's facts, though, man. Like, that's facts. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, man, but like that is true. What rational person would define an airport as a facility that houses illegal aliens? Who would do it? Brandon Johnson? Who would do it? Literally no normal person would do that, but as we know, Brandon Johnson is far from being a normal person. The committee is seeking from the city the total number of migrants who have lived at O'Hare and Midway, where they were housed, costs, and capacity reductions at the airport. Whether the city consulted the Federal Aviation Administrator or Transportation Secretary Administration and any incidents that prompted a law enforcement response. Cruz also asked whether federal passenger facility charge funds were used for Terminal 1 at O'Hare or the bus and shuttle center at the airport, all of which were used to house migrants. Uh-oh. Let me ask you guys this question. With this inquiry, what do you all think that they're going to find? What do you guys think that they're going to find with this inquiry? The facility charge is revenue the airports receive from a fee tacked onto most airline tickets. Cruz also made a point of bringing up O'Hare's $8.5 billion renovation project, which Johnson brokered a deal about with the major airlines in the spring. Okay. Your decision to house illegal. Every time I read this, man, this is just so funny to me. This is hilarious. Your decision to house illegal aliens at O'Hare is even more curious considering Chicago has been in a contentious month-long dispute with tenants United Airlines and American Airlines regarding the future of a new terminal, Cruz wrote in January. Oh man, they had to they owed United Airlines United Airlines and American Airlines, they owed them new terminals, and instead they had their migrants sleeping out there. Yo, that's crazy. These people are crazy. They don't care one bit about making sense. They don't care one bit about making sense. Oh man, this is crazy. Shout out to Shatira. Shatira said, "Lord, they want to keep the folks at the airport. What's going on out here, man? They've been had them at the airport." Oh man, they've been had them at the airport, man. They've been had them at the airport. This is the reason, man. Listen, man. Ooh-wee. Chicago's migrant crisis began in August of 2022 when Abbott sent a busload of asylum seekers to the city and other northern municipalities. The Republican governor argued that southern border states were overwhelmed with the surge of migration that mostly stemmed from Venezuela, and so-called sanctuary cities like Chicago should walk the walk when it comes to welcoming immigrants. Abbott's move was decried as a cruel political stunt by Illinois leaders who accused him of sowing chaos and using poverty-stricken asylum seekers as political pawns. Now, we've seen the prices that some of these people pay to these smugglers and cartel members. I don't know if I would go as far as to say that they're quote unquote poverty stricken. I don't know if I would go as far as to say that these people are poverty stricken. How many people would go as far as to say that these people are poverty stricken? If you would go as far as to say that, give me a thumbs up. If you would not say that, then give me a thumbs down. I'm not going to say that they're poverty stricken. I don't know. Everything is undocumented. I don't know. I'm going to just say it's unknown. Anything about anybody undocumented is unknown as far as I'm concerned. While Chicago leadership has been unequivocal in protecting its sanctuary city status, that ordinance simply forbids law enforcement from helping immigration authorities carry out deportation. It does not guarantee resources such as shelter and food. The situation worsened after Johnson took office in May of 2023. When Texas officials escalated the pace of migrants from Texas to Chicago. At the same time, the federal government didn't come to Chicago's rescue with sufficient aid or border policy reforms as hordes of families camped at police stations and it soared, all right? Hordes of families. You know what I'm saying? Although the scenes of makeshift tent cities on the sidewalks and lobbies of police department precincts captured national attention, hundreds of migrants were also housed at Terminal 1, where asylum seekers who arrived to Chicago via plane waited for a coveted bed in the city's overcrowded shelters. At a peak in October of 2023, about 850 migrants, look at this, about 850 migrants were sleeping at O'Hare, according to the city's daily census. Midway also temporarily housed migrants, though far less frequently, as the migrant population never topped 30. Why do you have these people sleeping at the airport? Why that's going on is beyond me. Like, I don't understand this. And then they had them camped out at the police station. I bet you Tren de Aragua wasn't camped out at the police station. How many of y'all think that they had Tren de Aragua members camped right out at the police station? You know what I'm saying? Them Tren de Aragua members was camped out right at the police station. And shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all have not smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. I appreciate you guys. You guys are doing great. We got 26 people watching, and we got 26 likes, still on the 1-to-1 ratio. That is what's up. Throw them 100s in the chat. Definitely appreciate you. Right. Shout out to DC Precise. DC Precise said, you've got 10 to 20 rocks cash. You're not poor. Bro, facts. And you're not poor. You know what I'm saying? You're not poor. We got to find that. You ain't black. Yeah, you're not poor.
You ain't black.
Right, the tattoos and all, just chilling with the Tren de Aragua tattoos out. Police don't even know they in danger. The whole time, got the gang members camped out at the police department. The crisis diminished earlier this spring following an executive order from President Joe Biden that cracked down on border crossings. Johnson has responded to Trump's victory in November by vowing to Chicago's immigrant communities that the city will protect immigrants from deportations, saying Chicago's sanctuary city status will remain in place. Let me ask you guys a question. Is that controversial? I'm pretty sure that's controversial. Brandon Johnson don't care. Did Brandon Johnson get anybody's approval for this? Did he consult anybody for this? Did he ask permission or, make sure that this is okay or like any of that type of stuff? No. No, he didn't. So again, look what he's doing for people that will not vote, that did not and could not vote for him. The showdown between Cruz and Johnson isn't the first time a Chicago mayor has gone up against Republicans in Washington over Chicago's sanctuary city status. Then Mayor Rahm Emanuel sued Trump's Justice Department in 2017 after it withheld federal grants to Chicago because of the policy. Emanuel prevailed, though that legal fight was largely symbolic because of the amount of money at stake is a small fraction of the city's budget. It was $1.5 million that he wanted to use for ShotSpotter. Okay. Which probably is one of the reasons why he got the money too, because we've talked about ShotSpotter in great detail. Y'all know what ShotSpotter is, right? So next, what we got to do is we got to talk about your boy Gavin Newsome. All right. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Everybody remembers, right? Let's see something. Everybody remembers, and everybody knows how that reparations hearing went down in California, right? Let me ask you guys this question. What side of that situation was Gavin Newsome on? Why am I asking? I'm asking this because California Democrats opened a special session to Trump-proof state priorities. Now, what do they mean, Trump-proof state priorities? What are state priorities? So basically, right, what a state priority is something that the state prioritizes, something that's important to the state, something that the state deems as worth protecting, something that the state deems as worth a risk, putting a security measure in place to make sure that it doesn't get derailed. Right? What are California's state priorities? How many people in the chat know any of California's state priorities? If you guys know California state priorities, let me know what they are. And how did they become California state priorities? How did the state priorities of California become the state priorities of California? Who made them priorities? How did they get to be there? If you ask me, these are important questions that people should ask. Let me ask you guys this question. How many things that you prioritize do you think California has in common with you? You think that there's any priorities that you might have that California has as well? Yeah, shout out to Carlton Way. Carlton said LGTV and illegal immigration, state priorities. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Speaking of LGTV, I'm going to show you guys something since Carlton brought that up. Give me 1 second. If you guys haven't smashed that like button yet, do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment and hit that bell. Let me see. I'm going to show you guys this. Yeah, let's take a look at this here. All right, we got a little bit. We're making decent time. We're making decent time. All right, now we're going into the LGTV realm, right? Shout out to going to the LGTV realm. If anybody in the chat, any moderators in the chat are subscribed to the LGTV channel, if you guys would be kind enough to drop the link in the chat, because we're going to definitely be talking about these LGBTQ issues over there. All right. There's a battle. I'm saying there's a battle going on out there. And the battle is going on for toilet seat supremacy. Okay. Battle over trans students, athletes Royals California's high school sports. Why? Why is this happening? Does this make any sense? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? The families of two Riverside Unified School District's female teen student athletes are suing the district over allegations of free speech censorship as well as discrimination under Title IX. Okay. Now, you got to pay attention when people talk about that stuff, right? Title IX discrimination. Remember, the same people said that the law shouldn't exist. Shout out to John Guillory. If you're in the chat right now and you're not subscribed, hit that link that John Guillory just put into the chat. Make sure you hit the bell twice. All right. At the center of the case is the ongoing battle over trans student athletes. Now, I need somebody to help me out here and explain to me how this works. How do quote unquote trans student athletes work? How does that work? Shout out to General Booty Jig. Right. General Booty Jig. In the complaint filed November 20th in Riverside County, the plaintiffs allege one of the girls identified in court papers as TS, an 11th grader, was ousted from her top position on the varsity cross-country team at Martin Luther King High School to make room for a transgender athlete identified as MI, who was quote-unquote assigned male at birth. Nobody assigned anybody anything at birth other than your DNA. I don't know. I really get tired of hearing this idea of somebody getting assigned something. Like you don't get assigned anything unless you like your DNA assigns. Like your DNA sets the assignments. Your genes set the assignments. Your chromosomes, codons, those set the assignments. You know what I'm saying? The complaint describes a conflict that erupted after coaches selected runners to participate in a high-profile cross-country meet earlier this fall. According to the complaint, ML did not train as much nor show up to all required events, yet still posted faster times and was given a top spot on the girls' varsity team. Why? Why? I mean, why? But remember, though, shout out to the monolith. If you don't support this,
you ain't black. You ain't black.
Right? That's if you don't support this. As a result, the complaint alleges TS missed opportunities to compete at a high school profile meet, losing valuable chances for college recruitment and recognition. The other plaintiff in the lawsuit, a female 9th grader identified as KS, is on MLK's junior girls varsity team, but as a top runner, could be in contention for a varsity spot. TS and KS were both assigned female gender at birth. And again, what are we talking about here with this assigned at birth nonsense? You know what I'm saying? The complaint alleges that the presence of the trans athlete on the girls' team deprived TS and KS of opportunities that the RUSD failed to comply with federally mandated Title IX, which guarantees equal athletic opportunities. The two girls protested by wearing T-shirts to a track meet that were emblazoned with messages reading "Save Girl Sports" and "It's common sense. XX doesn't equal XY." So apparently, look, that's hate speech right there. That's hate speech right there. Shout out to John Guillory. John Guillory said, "Don't forget, the defiant lawyers say that we are not pro-black people if we don't support Democrats." I told you guys. I told you. I'm okay. I have a confession. Is everybody ready for my confession? I'm not pro-black. Lawyers have said so. See right there. Shout out to John. See, the lawyer said it. All right. So just so everybody knows, right? So you know, if I ever say something questionable or Robb ain't pro-black anyway. The lawyers defined it. So there it is right there. Right. Right. And they had the president sign off on it.
You ain't black.
So there's that. I'm pro-black autonomy. That means I'm pro-black people doing whatever the hell we want to do, and not sit there and listen to some old simp that drinks Wild Irish Rose and calls every woman they've ever encountered baby girl. Come here, baby girl. Come here, baby girl. You want to be my baby girl? You want to be my baby girl? Come here, baby girl. Listen here now. You don't support Biden now. Something wrong with you. You must hate yourself. You must not be black. You know what I'm saying? I'm acting beige right now because I'm beige. You know what I'm saying? I'm the darkest skinned beige person you'll ever meet, but I'm acting beige right now. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Shout out to Lewis. What's good with it, bro? I mean, that's that shaming tactic. You need to question your blackness if you don't support Democrat. Man, get out of here with that mess, Grandpa. You know what I'm saying? Go cut the grass or something. You know what I'm saying? Go put together some Legos. You know, if you don't support the Democrats. Well, here's my question. The Democrats don't support us. So what do that make the Democrats? I guess not black. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to support them, and supporting them defines our blackness, I guess, right? They have no requirements to support us whatsoever, and there's nothing that's a gauge on their treachery. I'm curious as to how defiant the defiant lawyer is about Joe Biden's defiance to uphold his promise of not pardoning Hunter Biden. I'm curious about that. See, that's not important. And you act like a heathen. You got one of them smart mouths on you. You probably grew up in a household and didn't nobody ever check your ass, young blood. You know what I'm saying? Shut your dumb ass up. Shout out to Brooklyn Queen 125. What's good with it? Oh, that's so irritating. That dude is a monolith enforcer. We need to build him quite the statue. If you guys agree, we need to build him quite the statue. Throw them monoliths in the chat. Do you notice though, when it comes to like these type of fringe issues, those type of people, they never discuss any of this? He'll say it. Well, what that got to do with black people? What that got to do with black people? Listen, when you don't have any borders, right? The popular talking point, quote unquote, we's ain't got no powers. Okay, well, if you don't have no borders and you don't have no powers, then that means that everything can affect you, which means that everything affects black people. So yeah, everything has everything to do with black people. So, you know what I'm saying? Because people have repeated this talking point, right? People repeat the talking point, we's the powerless people. Okay, well, if that talking point is true, if you's the powerless people, what do they do with powerless people? If you are immunocompromised, they put you in a negative airflow room with plastic all over the place so that germs can't get in because you have no power. You can't do anything. Everything affects you. So if a little piece of dust with a little bacteria on it gets in there, guess what? It'll take you out. If the wrong chemicals happen to seep in through the pipes, guess what? They'll take you out. If the temperature gets too low, guess what? It'll take you out. Because you have none of your own defenses because you're powerless, which means that every single thing is an issue. Every single thing is a potential pathogen, right? So, yeah, he will. Facts. He'll say that. But that's how you deal with that talking point when people hit you with that. Yeah, just like somebody on chemo or somebody that's immunocompromised, somebody that got the HIV. You know what I'm saying? They got to walk around with rubber gloves all doggone day and an N95 mask. What that got to do with black people? Got a lot to do with black people. If everything is, if we have no power, like they say, right, and everything affects us, well, then if everything affects us, how do you pick and choose what affects you? How does that work? How can those two things be at one time? So everything affects us. Now he'll say, how does this affect? I don't know. Maybe if there was a transgender basketball player on the team who was better than Angel Reese, maybe Angel Reese might not have got the opportunity that she got to be able to showcase her talent because she might have been outshined by, somebody that's the size of Shaquille O'Neal. You know what I'm saying? That during their high school career used to buy condoms and in their adult career buys tampons. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to John Guillory. The monolith has spoken. Hashtag the lith. You know what I'm saying? The lith. Where my man Win Lose a Rug at? We got to get working on that lith coin. We got to get working on that lith coin. This is ridiculous, though. I don't see anything wrong with these girls wearing these shirts. If you guys see anything wrong with these girls wearing these shirts, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs up. I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't know how a scientific fact is hate speech. I don't understand that. According to the complaint, school officials told the girls and their families that the attire was hostile and the messages, which could be understood to be intimidating, belittling, or harmful, appeared directed towards transgender student athletes. Officials, look at this, school officials compared the messages to that of a t-shirt bearing a swastika meant to intimidate J students, according to the complaint. What do you guys think about that? The girls were told by campus officials to conceal or not wear the shirts. The complaint alleges that the ban violates the students' rights to free speech and due process under the First and 14th Amendments. The plaintiffs argue that the school's selective enforcement of dress codes and failure to uphold Title IX policies violate their constitutional rights and place female athletes at an unfair disadvantage. We will not allow boys to take over girls' sports or let woke policies silence young women fighting for fair competition. Woke policies. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? This case is about protecting equal opportunities and the freedom to speak out, values that should be upheld, not suppressed in our schools. The plaintiffs are seeking declaratory and injunctive relief and compensation for the damages. Transgender students' participation in sports under Title IX is a thorny legal issue. In a November 25th emailed statement, the district said it is important to remember RUSD is bound to follow California law, which requires that students be permitted to participate in sex-segregated school programs and activities, including athletic teams and competition consistent with his or her gender identity, irrespective of the gender listed on the pupil's record, which is this is insane. Right. What happened to trust the science? Now, they'll tell you trust the science when it comes to, you know what, right? When it comes to C-19. But don't trust the science when it comes to anything else, though. Trust the science when we tell you to. Other than that, just don't ask us any questions. Right? That's how that goes. That's how that goes. Now, this is long, right? We'll deal with this. We'll deal with this some other time. We'll deal with that some other time. That was just a taste, right, of what the priorities are. Hold on real quick. Give me 1 second. Or what they claim the priorities are. Let me see something real quick here. What's going on here? Real quick, shout out to everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. If you all haven't smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell. And also, please share the stream to your social media. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to my backup channels. Let's see something here. Ooh, sometimes you kind of get lost in these headlines. Be some wild stuff. Be some wild stuff going on. Be some wild stuff going on. All right, anyway. Let me see. Let me get this off the screen real quick. Okay. All right, there we go. Man, XRP is going wild, bro. I can't, man, listen. Make sure that if you guys are not subscribed to Tales from the Cryptocurrency, make sure you guys subscribe to that channel. I cannot wait to go live about crypto tonight. It's about to be a marathon stream, bro. We about to have some fun. We are about to have some fun. It's really going down with a lot of changes as far as things go with the with what's going on with the migrant crisis. Can one of the mods drop the link for Tales from the Crypto for Unsunken one? It'll also be on BLR, but BLR's chat is going to be members only. So the link to be able to chat on Tales from the Cryptocurrency will be pinned in the comment section over there. Lawmakers met Monday in Sacramento to shore up, here go the priorities, reproductive rights, and a legal war chest, but work won't start until January. Okay, so what people need to know, there's a couple things that people need to know. One of the first things that people need to know is what are California's priorities, right? What are California's priorities? Shout out to Carlton. That's how we started talking about that particular situation, right? Legitimate stuff are some of California's priorities. But what else are California's priorities? Here's another question. How do you become a California priority? Exactly. Shout out to AW1. AW1 says, yo, Rob, when they say woke, we already know that they're not talking about protecting black kids. Bro, facts. The same way they don't consider black people harmed by those migrants. They don't consider those angel crimes or angel babies. You know what I'm saying? That black girl in Chicago that got that bottle busted upside her head by the illegal migrant. She's not an angel. So we all know what time it is, right? We know what time it is. California lawmakers kicked off a special session of the state legislature on Monday. The reason? To fund a $25 million war chest, anticipated legal battles coming with incoming President Donald Trump's administration. Nearly 30 new state lawmakers were sworn into office at the state capitol in Sacramento. Legislative leaders gavelled in special session called by Governor Gavin Newsome that's geared towards protecting undocumented immigrants, reproductive rights, climate policy, and more from Trump's second administration. Okay? These are the priorities of California. Okay? These are the priorities of California. The regular 2-year legislative session also began Monday, but the special session will allow for a speedier lawmaking process. Newsome has requested the funding for the State Department of Justice and other Newsome has requested the funding for the State Department of Justice and other agencies, which are expected to file a flurry of lawsuits challenging Trump policies, as California Democrats did the first term. The governor's ask was introduced in bills Monday by Assembly member Jesse Gabriel, an Encino Democrat who chairs the body's budget commission. Okay. We will work with the incoming administration, and we want President Trump to succeed in serving all Americans, Newsom said in a statement. But when there is overreach, when lives are threatened, and when rights and freedoms are targeted, we will take action. Newsom expects to sign the legislation before Trump is sworn in on January 20th, and top Democratic lawmakers are on board. They'll do the bulk of that work in early January after a break, said Assemblymember Mark Berman in a Menlo Park Democrat. Just like 8 years ago, California, look at this. Just like 8 years ago, California must once again do everything we can to protect our 39 million residents and our economy, he said in an email. During both the special session and the regular session, we must double down on policies to defend reproductive freedom and autonomy, protect the environment, and invest in science and education. Now, let me ask you guys this question. How are California policies doing that? Shout out to Volvo. I appreciate you, Volvo. Make sure you guys hit that link that Volvo put in the chat. Hit it twice. Look what Gavin Newsom is willing to do. I want you guys, this is what I want people to, when these people say they cannot do something, there needs to be an archive of easily available information where we can say, nope, you did this, that, and that, and hand them the card with the bullet points and sit back and wait for them to say something, which they're not going to say anything back from because, boom, you just got caught. You just, you know what I'm saying? Boom, you just got caught, right? Republicans, however, blasted the special session as a tone-deaf stunt to raise Newsom's profile as a Trump foil. Politics observers say the Democratic governor will almost surely run for president in 2028 after his final term ends. All right. So now look at this. All right. I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if you guys agree with this. I haven't really been paying attention to the to Gavin Newsom to that degree to know if these are things that he's going to be doing. But I think if they're mentioning this, it's something worth noting, right? How many of you all agree that Gavin Newsom will more than likely run for president in 2028? Now, mind you, by 2028, shout out to the people that hit that link that John just put in the chat. You know what I'm saying? And Volvo just put in the chat, tell from the cryptocurrency. We trying to be millionaires by the time Trump leave out of office. So, you know, we'll be watching this stuff, but you know what I'm saying, we'll be busy enjoying some nice crypto gains, right? But for the people that are not in that position, they'll probably be pretty interested in a Governor Gavin Newsom presidency. My question is, how do you all think a Governor Gavin Newsom presidency will work? So we need to start watching Gavin Newsom like a hawk. He's about to get a lot of videos and live streams done on him because we're going to be analyzing homeboy. He already is looking bad. And I'm trying to figure out why people should vote for him or why they shouldn't. I don't think that they should. Yeah, it's me. I don't like Gavin Newsom. Never have, never will. You know what I'm saying? Instead of taking the hint that Californians are growing tired of Democrat incompetence, Newsom is doubling down on his extreme agenda and using his special session to Trump-proof California with taxpayer dollars. California GOP chairwoman Jessica Milan Patterson said in an email, "It's clear that Gavin Newsom's 2028 presidential run is now underway, and Californians are simply pawns in his game." Okay. The $25 million set aside for litigation would be a tiny fraction of California's $288 billion 2024-2025 operating budget. But approving that budget required a series of measures to close a $27.6 billion deficit, including dipping into reserves. It was unclear Monday whether funding legal wars with Trump would come at the expense of other programs. Yeah, facts. Shout out to Black Free Thinker. Black Free Thinker said, well, if you're a degenerate, you ought to vote for Newsom. Bro, facts. If you guys agree with Black Free Thinker, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree with Black Free Thinker, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Carlton. Carlton said they're going to get the female simps with the Gavin Newsom vote. The Democrats will push Newsom as a sex symbol to get the female simps. They probably will. That's hilarious. On the campaign trail, Trump slammed California as a den of crime, rampant inflation, and homelessness while taking shots at the Golden State's top Democrats. He also pledged to use the military to conduct mass deportations of immigrants without proper documentation, fueling anxieties of a worst-case scenario among Bay Area immigrant advocates. Democrats, including Senator Alex Padilla, Newsom, and Attorney General Robb Bonta, say they'll staunchly defend immigrants and will not cooperate with deportations. Why is it? Why do you guys think that is? Why do you guys think that is? It's always interesting to me, right? It's always interesting to me when the people jump out the window. Because that tells you everything you need to know. For the most part, that tells you everything you need to know, right? Bonta announced Monday that lawmakers are sponsoring bills to ensure Californians can receive access to medication, abortions, and empowering the Attorney General to seek fines from local governments that restrict abortion providers. I want to make it unequivocally clear. California will remain a safe haven for reproductive rights, access to abortion care, no matter who's in the White House. Bonta said, a potential candidate to succeed Newsom said in a statement. After Trump's victory last month, Newsom and California Democrats quickly laid the groundwork to oppose the incoming Republican administration. It's a reprise role. During Trump's first term, California filed 122 lawsuits challenging his administration policies under the Democratic Attorney General, Xavier Becerra. That litigation cost the state $42 million, according to Newsom's office, and netted some victories. In one case, California and New York successfully sued the U.S. Department of Energy in 2017 to allow energy efficiency standards to go into effect nationally, which were expected to save consumers $8.4 billion and prevent nearly 100 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions. Another victory won California $60 million in federal public safety grants, the governor's office said. Once again, California's standoff with Trump is likely to be a major force in state politics for the next 4 years. But this time around, Newsom is stressing that he's open to finding common ground with the former president. Meanwhile, Assembly Speaker Robb Rivius and Senate President Pro Tem Mike McGuire say they'll be focusing on not resisting Trump, but making California more affordable. In fact, Newsom and Rivas have made overtures to California voters since Republicans nationally swept the November elections, reclaiming the White House and Senate, holding the House of Representatives. He made gains throughout the state in part because of discontent over inflation and living costs. In response, Newsom is touring conservative counties to highlight an economic development plan and has said that Democrats need to focus more on the economy. A spokesperson for Rivius did not return a request for commitment by press time. Okay. Nearly 30 new lawmakers were also sworn in at the Capitol on Monday. The new legislature includes a record-breaking number of women, 59 of its 120 members, one seat shy as the same number of men. Democrats still have complete control on the state government with supermajorities in both chambers of the legislature and holds on to all executive seats. So now let me ask you guys this question. What does this tell you about California politics? What did this tell you about politics in California? You know what I'm saying? Sounds to me like people need to do some organization, right? Sounds to me like people really, really need to do some organization for real, for real. So Tijuana sets up additional checkpoints for border crossing. The checkpoint is an effort to back up CBP so U.S. can open additional lanes. Okay. So now let me ask you guys this. Why do you all think that that Tijuana is opening up additional checkpoints? Let's listen.
Thanks for choosing to listen. We're converting your article into audio and will begin playing momentarily.
Real quick, while this is doing this, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button.
Tijuana once again.
Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share the stream to your social media. Your boy being lazy.
Again sets up additional checkpoint at border crossing. Mexican authorities have resurrected additional security checkpoints for U.S.-bound drivers approaching the San Isidro port of entry in Tijuana during the busy holiday travel season, a move that has many border commuters worried about increased traffic headaches. The new inspection point, set up on Thanksgiving Day in the Century Lanes, is part of a pilot program by Tijuana officials meant to add an extra layer of security and deter unauthorized travelers before drivers reach the international boundary line. At the boundary line is where U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents then, as they have for some years now, ask drivers to show their documents before they approach the official inspection booth. The hope, as was the first time around, is that CBP will decide that the Mexican inspections are robust enough to replace CBP's first line of officers. Those U.S. officers could then be deployed to additional inspection booths at the port of entry, therefore reducing wait times. Staffing issues have long prevented all inspection lanes from being staffed at the port of entry. Tijuana's Secretary of Economic Development, Pedro Montejo Peterson, said that for the plan to work, there must be positive results from the program and proof that binational coordination works. Authorities said they chose to target the faster Century lanes first because that is where unauthorized vehicles often try to reach the U.S. It's not going to be automatic, he said last week. It's up to us to do our part, to produce the results that are expected, and through that to negotiate that more lanes can be opened. CBP did not respond to questions about whether this would be an option. A spokesperson referred questions about operations to the Mexican government. Instead, officials said that the San Diego field office is committed to facilitating legitimate trade and travel as safely, securely, and efficiently as possible, and that the agency is constantly assessing its resources and adjusting its operations to best serve communities, all while upholding its critical national security mission through the interdiction of dangerous narcotics, illicit contraband, and more. On Monday morning, as commuters got back to their post-Thanksgiving weekend routines, drivers passed the checkpoint tent staffed with Tijuana police and the Mexican National Guard. The officers were not seen asking for any documentation and only monitored the vehicles passing by. Only immigration officers can ask for documentation to prove travelers can be in Mexico legally. Montejo Peterson said that as part of the program, the city will coordinate with the National Guard and the National Institute of Migration so they can assist if suspicious vehicles are detected. CBP officers also continued to work the first level of inspection along the boundary line, as usual. The wait times around 11 a.m. were as expected. But over the weekend, people on social media groups reported delays. "We are not going to hinder traffic," said Montejo Peterson. On the contrary, all the efforts that are being made in this administration are precisely to streamline crossings. For border commuters, the pilot program was déjà vu. In late 2022, similar checkpoints were placed on the Ready Lane and Century vehicular lanes at the San Isidro crossing in a program that lasted 4 months. Angry drivers reported longer than expected wait times on the first day. Around that time, CBP briefly removed one of the initial layers of inspection on the Century lanes, but agents eventually returned to it. Mexican officials said that from November 2022 to March 2023, when the program was in effect, unauthorized vehicle crossings in the frequent traveler lanes were reduced by 60%. But officials also credited other factors, such as the launch of the required CBP app for asylum seekers to make their appointments. Mexican officials claimed at the time that CBP officials were able to open an average of 3 additional lanes at the port of entry as a result. Montejo Peterson acknowledged that December will be a challenging month, since it's one of the busiest for border crossings. He added that the city will assess the results this week and that the plan is to have another checkpoint at San Isidro and one more at the Otay Mesa port of entry.
So there's that. There is that. All right. Tijuana is opening up this checkpoint again. Like I said, it's about to get lit when it comes to this situation going on with the migrants. People running scared because of the Trump administration, and it's just all kinds of interesting, content-worthy confusion going on out there. All right. So do not move a muscle, man. I appreciate everybody being here. Hit them last likes, smash that like button, hit that bell, share the stream to your social media. Make sure you guys show my man John Guillory some love. You guys know without the stream sponsors, this is not possible. So shout out to you, bro. Definitely appreciate it. To other people who are looking to, you know what I'm saying, support the organization, which is always appreciated. Hit that link that's pinned in the comment section for Patreon with the code BLR to get 50% off. I will see you all late night. And as always, ladies and gentlemen,